Hey everybody, what's going on? Today I'm going to do a video on how to scout using Google Maps. This isn't anywhere where I actually hunt. This is just random places that I've picked on the maps that are woods. So I've never actually been out here. I never plan on hunting it. I'm just showing you guys what to look for, things to look for before you go out and put your boots on the ground. It'll give you an idea of where to start looking for stuff. So I don't have a screen recorder, so I'm just going to hold the video camera up and point at the areas that I'm talking about while I talk about them. So right now I'm just looking at this section of woods right here as being the land that you would hunt. So one of the big things that I like to look for is the private land around the hunting area. So like this area has orange groves right here. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say if you park up here, I'd walk in down this fence line and take a look to see where they're crossing over into those orange groves, because for whatever reason they really like to get into the orange groves a lot. I'm not sure if it's because the vegetation over there is more nutritious from all the fertilizer or what, but that is one of the things that I'd look for. Another thing that you're going to be looking for is changes in terrain. So like over here you can tell that right here you can tell that this goes from, looks like oak trees to pine trees. So anywhere where it makes a transition like that is really good. Then another thing that you can do is if you look for these ponds like this, they don't like walking through them if they don't have to. What they'll do is they'll just walk on the edge. So if you can find a place where it gets really skinny, like right here, where it gets real right up against the edge of that flag pond, that's a good area to go check. Alright, so I just found another area that's a really good example of a change in terrain, which is right here. You can see how that's almost a perfect line of where the trees change up, and what the deer will do is they'll walk right down the edge of this, because this looks like it's really thick and this looks like it's a little bit thinner, so it's easier for them to walk down the edge of this than it is to walk through all the thick stuff, and they don't want to be out here in the open where they can't get away from predators. So if they walk right along this line, if they need to get away, they can get into this thick stuff, and it's easier for them to keep walking down that transition line. Alright guys, so now I'm looking at some public property. This is a public area that I hunt over here. This is all public land. Then across the fence right here, this is private land. But the reason why I like hunting this is because this is all a real thick swamp right here, and then it comes out into this orange grove, which is a lot better established now. These pictures on Google are older, so this is actually a lot better established as an orange grove now, and they come from here out to here. And I normally hunt this for archery season. This year I'll also be hunting it for muzzleloader season if I can get a quota permit for it. But another thing to look for is, I know that they have feeders out on that private land somewhere, because right here they have a shooting house. So I don't like hunting right here. I like hunting down towards the swamp more, but I don't think that they hunt out of those shooting houses anymore. There's a shooting house up there and a shooting house down here. I don't think that they hunt out of those shooting houses anymore because they're old and falling apart, but they do have feeders running out here still. So I'm not sure if they're just hunting off the ground or what, but seems like the deer like to come in and out of this thick swamp here, so it's a good place to catch them. So another good couple things to look for while you're out there scouting or from your computer is any sort of small creek that runs through the area. A lot of times you can do that by clicking off of the satellite and clicking onto the road or street, whatever it is, and all those little waterways will pop up in blue. So that way you don't have to sit there and search through the woods while you're sitting on the computer to find them. And a lot of times what that'll do is it'll just create a little pinch point in between the edge of the bank and the tree line. So if you can get in an area like that, that's pretty good. And another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about hunting on public land is just because if you see that there's a tree stand there, that does not mean that it's a good place to go to. A lot of guys will just start throwing up cheap tree stands out in the open pines, and a lot of the newer guys will go out there and they'll hunt those places, and a lot of guys just use those cheap tree stands as decoy tree stands to keep people from finding their actual spot, which I don't ever go looking for anybody's spot. If I ever do find somebody's tree stand or it looks like they've been climbing there, what I'll do is I'll just go back out and find somewhere else to hunt. I know it's public land and nobody can claim an area, but I like giving other hunters the respect that, you know, they were there first, so they can have that area. I'll go find somewhere else that's probably better anyway. So this isn't a video that's going to tell you exactly where to hunt every single time that you go out. What it is going to do is show you where to start. And like my last video, you saw that I was I'm going to be hunting on a barbed wire fence that had a tree fall on it and all the deer are crossing there. The only way that you guys are going to find stuff like that is by getting out and walking fence lines to find where those broken spots in the fence are. And I don't only hunt fence lines. That was just where I went that day to put up a camera. Another thing that you're going to want to pay attention to is what the deer are feeding on throughout the year. So like in my zone, during the end of archery season, that's when the palmetto berries start getting ripe. So once they start getting ripe, kind of start targeting those palmetto berries. And then once it's gun season, that's when the acorns start dropping. So if you can find one tree that isn't in a big oak hammock that's dropping acorns, that's a good place to hunt. But if you go to an oak hammock and everything's dropping acorns, then it's not necessarily a good place to hunt. Unless you're hunting with a gun and there's a good shooting lane throughout there, then sounds like a good place to hunt. But if you're hunting with your bow, it's going to be a lot harder to get deer to come to your specific tree that's dropping acorns. Alright guys, thanks for watching my video. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, go check out Swamp and Stomp. Their YouTube channel's pretty good. They've got some good hunts from last year and I believe the year before last year. And they do a lot of informative videos as well, so go check them out. It's Swamp and Stomp. Like and subscribe to their page too. Thanks for watching.